Hello again. It has been a long time. I have not given any updates since I started the car for the first time, basically. I was kind of hoping to work some things out, and then I was gonna make a video, be like, all right, I was gonna act like it was the first time I was taking it out, my Honda Civic, if I didn't mention this car video. And I was gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna take it down the road, see, and then I was just gonna smash. But basically I put 80 miles on it, and then everybody's like different break-in ideas, but 80 miles on it, and then I just couldn't resist, and probably hit around 20 pounds of boost pretty quick, which felt amazing for first time really driving a turbo car. I drove like a 2017 turbo STI, and that wasn't shit. No, it wasn't shit. Nowadays, got different perceptions. A lot has happened. This fender got smashed a while ago, and actually it's right there. Smash. I've got to put that side marker on here. This is an OEM fender. I got really lucky to find this. It's like a whole story behind that. Fender used to be my fender, and then it wasn't. The headlight got smashed. I've done like some serious headlight stuff since we last met. Like, I wanted OEM housings. So I bought OEM headlights and then took apart the retrofits, the other headlight aftermarket housings, put my stuff in it, all this and that, whatever, and not too long. I also kept this clear. It's OEM housing and stuff, but I left that clear. Honda on the lens, of course. I gotta re-retrofit this. I got another OEM housing right there. It actually is a cracked housing and good lens. And this is a good housing and bad lens, so gotta upcycle, save the world a little. Sorry about my fingers in the way. I have around 1,500 miles on the build so far, and I don't have that much tune time. It got a safe tune, but so it's not as it uses a lot of gas. It probably, or maybe it's because I just have my foot on the floor all the time. It probably gets maybe 10 miles to the gallon how I drive it, which is crazy. It's crazy. I can go for one drive and waste in like a cool way, like, oh, he's wasted, waste like a third or half a tank. My interior is pretty close to where I want it to be. I'm gonna flip the camera around. Every time I put it together, I find a reason to take it apart like a few hours later. So my SRS light was on, horn wasn't working, and I narrowed that down to my clock spring. And right now I just have the clock spring removed because that's part of troubleshooting. I'm waiting for a new one for the DX to come. If you have a 96 2000 Civic and a S2000 steering wheel, this is how you need your wiring to go. The S2000 steering wheel, the cruise control, I'm talking about cruise control, has this 5-pin plug where the EK, EJ8, EJ6, all that, they have a different plug. Anyways, you gotta D-pin, repin it like that. So I am also, I don't have cruise anymore. I figured out I could get this piece without the hole for cruise from an Insight, so I ordered that piece, like 23 bucks. Took a little bit of thinking and stuff. Clock spring coming, like I said. Interior together. It's been apart this whole time because, well, different reasons, but one of them was I was trying to wire my power mirrors or get my power mirrors done, and I finally did. I don't know if it's been 2 or 3 years since I've had these dang mirrors. And I wired them really clean, just like factories, as far as I know, factory in Japan land, European land. Maybe Canada. Okay, ready? Cool. So there's that. I decided music is important to me and that I wanted a nice system. So, starting at the little bass knob. Sorry about that. Okay, so I upgraded my sound system, this is a street car. We're about the function in the street. That doubled in is all right. It's got Bluetooth and stuff, but I really want one that has a CarPlay. So, trunk goals. I'm sure I mentioned trunk goals at some point in time in one of these last videos, but my trunk goals are pretty much complete. Oh. Okay, that amp, imagine it's mounted and those tapes are gone. It has been mounted. It's just that I'm trying to figure out why it's whining. There's a feedback, whine, you know. So anyways, boom, look at that. I got this box and it took a lot of thinking I had to chop the legs off. It came with legs because normally the sub faces down. Chopped the legs off and reupholstered it and all that. It's very close to this bar. I kind of moved the bar a little bit this way by modifying the ends. And so normally that amp, boom, all clean, the sub, boom. And look at all this space I still have. Let's see. Yeah, it's not plugged in. Okay, battery box. So my trunk goals originally, I probably said sub an amp, and I never expected it to be this functional as far as all the room. There's a sub, there's the amp, it's 12. It's a 4 ohm speaker. That's a 5-channel amp, so that is powering all the speakers in the car, and it's the first time I've had a 5-channel amp. And these speakers, are upgraded. The door speakers are upgraded. Battery box there. I need to make a bracket. It's been a long time. I need to make a bracket from there to there. The other one is just, the one that came with the box is stupid. Anyways, clean that up. Good wipe down. Clean up this carpet a little bit. My trunk goals have always been a sealed battery box. It's also, vented, so I don't know if you really want to call that sealed. And then sub, amp, strut bar, and spare tire, factory jack, factory tools, jumper cables, and a tow strap, and the ability to still fit things. I could fit a lot of things in there. Look at all the stuff I got going on in my trunk and all the space I got. It's great. I love it. I'm probably gonna buy brand new OEM carpet because it's not that much. I don't remember, like 60 bucks. And it's still pretty clean, but imagine if it was mint. I already shampooed this once and that stuff did not come out, but I know I could get it out. But I replaced this. These are always scratched up. OEM. I got some buttoning up to do. Got some buttoning up. Also, I think this hinge is bent quite Mabel-y because when the trunk is closed, I gotta realign that striker. But trunk's closed. I got this gap, which drives me nuts. But I'll fix it when it drives me nuts enough. I had the car close to the door when I was got lots of stories, you guys. I was working on it and my friend didn't know it was like touching the door. My plan was to not open the door, and the door got opened and it took the paint off there. And then when it was in another garage, the same thing. I should just stop doing it. It was right there. So I'm gonna repaint this bumper pretty soon. Got full exhaust since we last met. It's this Vibrant muffler, and there's just one flange at the head or the end of the downpipe, way up there. You know what I'm saying? I wanted another flange just beyond the lower control arm, like factory or maybe it's on this side. I think it's on this side, yeah. But yeah, it just didn't happen. And also my SI emblem is too high, but I think the adhesive is really strong. Sure, I showed you that, so do with that what you will, you internet people. Someone's gonna kill me. I wired this with a little module that makes it strobe 3 times, which means flash fast 3 times, and then it flashes. So blink, blink, blink. 3 times slow, 3 times fast, and 3 times slow. And I also, I don't know if I ever said, but like, I first installed the retrofits, which these are LED, the round, I don't know, halos, I guess. See? They're LED, and you can't really see because it's so bright. But they're also blinkers. So when I use the blinker, like these will turn amber, and when I use the blinker, they worked, but they blinked at a different rate because of different resistance from incandescent bulbs. So that drove me nuts, and I figured one solution was to switch everything to LED. So now that's LED, and this needs re-cleared. By the way, I'm not done with it, but I changed all the blinkers and brake lights and running lights to LED, and I bought cheap ones first time around, which was a mistake. They're all burned down, this and that. I need to replace them with higher quality ones. And I had a hyperflash issue, like you've seen, I'm sure, when you put LEDs in the blinkers and all that, where it blinks really fast. And I found this little adjustable flasher relay. Oh gosh, I'll fix it on the eBay. It's that guy right there. Boom. And also I did this really ghetto jumper thing when I tried to start the car for the very first time, right? It didn't start, and I probably documented it was because I have the coil wire upgraded, and it's run to a switch relay, a relay that only gives direct battery voltage once the key is turned, and the trigger wire for that relay is the cigarette lighter, and apparently the cigarette lighter does not get 12 volts when cranking. So it was really hard to diagnose because it had power with the key turned, and I was never testing while turning the key. Anyways, I figured it out actually. Somebody, Tommy internet guy helped me. He really thought about it, but I put in one of these things, the light, and I double checked by watching. The light went out when I turned the key, and I was like, aha! So that little jumper is like connecting the cigarette lighter to, I don't know, the fuel pump. I need to fix it. Got a factory ITR shift knob, because the EM1 shift knob is discontinued. But the only difference in the ITR and the EM1 shift knob is that the stitching is red on the ITR knob. So I bought the knob, sent it to internet person Brandon Rowe, who I didn't know, and he restitched it and sent it to me. So now I have like the closest, bestest thing I can to an original EM1 knob, because we are a clone, remember? Hence the amber lights. Yes, so I got my ECU tucked back up in there, unlike usual stuff, usual Hondas. It was down forever like a normal Honda. Not normal Honda. Still want to get another glove box because I just cut it a little better. Maybe. But anyways, I got lots of wires going on here. Just an emergency aux cord for if that's ever needed, hooked to the back of the stereo, and whatever. I have my Honda cable like hardwired, kind of, it's there, so you just pop it out of the glove box and into the computer without having to remove the kick panel. They sell a 90-degree connector, but mine's just kind of jammed in there, potentially damaging my Honda board, because You think it's YOLO. Yeah, that's it. So I smoke. Yep, I smoke. After decel, like I'm driving normal, I'm off the gas, and then I'm on the gas, and then poof, unicorn farts. It smokes. It's pretty sad, but I don't know. Excuse me. I think it's probably balsam seals. I'm not too worried about it. It does burn like a lot, like a quart every 500 or 700. I think it totally depends on how I drive because it's only on decel. But I will figure that out later. There's the bay. It's taken a long time to find time to actually like get things more closer to how I want, and they're not quite there. Like, it drives me nuts that this arm is angled this way and almost touching that, but not nuts enough. Oh yeah, see, scratching my. Not nuts enough to fix it yet. I will. It'll be simple, but just little things like that. I took the cap off of this because it's not vented, and planned to like vent the cap, but I lost the cap. It's only like $20, and I want to get a Speed Factory 2-in-1 catch can / overflow reservoir that mounts right there, and get rid of that. I will do that at some point. Here's some catch can stuff, fuel, and E85. Oh, there's a fill line. Do not fill over. It smells wonderful. I've grown to just love the smell of E85. Oh, it's great. It's a lot of blow by though. I realize I should be draining that like more often than I have been. It's been because it just drains back into the block if you don't. Changed oil twice. At first I was obsessing a lot about what kind of oil, this and that, and then after like going crazy, I decided, all right, screw it, I'm just gonna put some oil in. So I mean, after it has 2,000-3,000 miles on it or something, I'll run probably just like Mobil 1 full synthetic 530. You know, everybody's like, oh, Motul 1040, this, that, whatever, but screw it, 20W50 and stuff. I mean, I have good oil pressure and everything's working and all that stuff. I'm not a scientist. I replaced this because my old one was being shit. Just over the last weekend, I like got some like chocolate and wine and got really sensual with her, like jacked her up and slid underneath her and did a bunch of things that I kind of just like took a step back, like found little leaking fittings, and I just cleaned things up, things that like cause issues. Leaking stuff. I tried to fix all the leaks. I adjusted the valves since I broke it in, and at one point, I don't remember. I didn't have any Honda Bond. I put it back on with no Honda Bond for a while and leaked all over. My friend gave me this cookie sheet that he custom made to fit a slim fan, so it's pretty cool. It's like just a 13 by 13, I think, cookie sheet that he cut out, and then these little brackets. It's just a custom thing. It's like a shroud, for your fan. But he upgraded. He changed his downpipe situation. He had an outpipe, but now he has a downpipe, and his fan had to come closer to the radiator. So this is a cheap ass radiator. This is like the cheapest setup you could get, pretty much. Cheapest fan, cheapest radiator, but someday I'll change it. There is a Speed Factory radiators intercooler combo. It's like 3-inch and it's dual back door, and I really want it. I'm gonna get it. And there's reasons why I want it. Like, I can't run my fog lights because my intercooler piping is in the way. I could probably put the covers on somehow, so there's at least nice circle holes. But so I want a back door for that reason. Also, so the turbo will come straight in here. Another big reason is my radius rod will not fit on my what do you call it? Bar, tie bar. The heck kind of bar do you? I can't remember what you call this thing right now. No wheel hop bar. That bar. You know, I cannot remember. I think I'm just thinking about it instead of thinking about it. Traction bar. Yeah, there's the rods. Spherical radius rods. They won't fit because it'll run into the intercooler piping. Yeah, another reason to spend a bunch of money on pretty stuff. That's why I need it. I need it. There's one more reason too. Tucked radiator. That makes it look pretty. And another reason, shorter boost piping, but the intercooler is much larger and they are 3-inch inlet and outlet. So that means more space and kind of in the end, like more boost lag for my setup. But anyways, I will think about all that stuff later. All right, now here's some stuff. There's some things that I'm not telling you. I'm really beating around the bush here. All right. So, hold on. I was driving real hard, driving smash, pass fast, and all of a sudden it wouldn't move anymore. I just stopped going. It made like a clunk, 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 clunk as it slowed down, and I didn't know what it was. And I was thinking because I had LSD that like in my head I thought, oh, is an axle broken? But I was like, no, it has LSD. The other axle would still power the car. But that's not how it goes. So I thought if the axle was broken, I'd see a twisted up boot. But maybe you can guess that the axle broke. But I didn't know. For a while. I towed it to my friend's house, and we dropped the transmission, and we just went straight to opening the transmission because it had to be an internal transmission issue, right? And then we opened the transmission, and there's nothing wrong with it. And then immediately, like seconds after seeing nothing, fine transmission, I look at the axle and then wiggle it, and inside the boot, within the boot, it was floppy doppy. I don't know. It was the outside part of the axle. So that was really saddening, especially since it was like 10:20 and the parts store just closed at 10, and I wanted to fix it that night. So try to put the transmission back together, and had a really hard time getting the case halves to click, the main shaft, if you know. They wouldn't go together, and like apparently there's this thing where you can tap it on the main shaft, right, and it'll help the situation. And my friend and I were getting frustrated. It wasn't working. We tapped on the main shaft or input shaft too hard, which I thought this might happen as I was doing it, and mushroomed the tip just a little bit. Like you could barely even see that it was mushroomed. Got the transmission together, put it on, and I noticed like it wasn't flushing up to the block. And you're not supposed to like use the bolts. Like that's just against the rules, and if you do, you're a bad person. Well, that day I was a bad person, and I used the bolts to snug it up because it was like a long day. I was totally done with it, and I'm like, let me just trash everything that I worked for, apparently, because in my head I was thinking like, what if that input shaft is mushroomed and not going into the input shaft bearing and pushing on my crank and pushing on the thrust washers and gonna trash my engine. And I was even like tightening the bolt with one hand on that bell housing, bolt. On the other hand, I was trying to turn the crank. I could feel it getting tighter. But I sent it. It was a darker time in my life. I tightened it up. After like hours of messing with it, I shouldn't have. I didn't have another pilot bearing. I didn't want to take the clutch off to like try to slip the pilot bearing over when it was on the ground and all that. But I started right up, and I'm like, okay, cool. Everything's fine. But in my head, I knew it wasn't. And then I drove it for like, everything is shifted great. It was fine. I replaced the axle, obviously, and I drove it for like 100 miles. And I was going real fast. And it stopped shifting. All of a sudden, I couldn't get into any gear. But I could shift with no clutch. So I shifted, how you shift with no, if you know, right? Shifted with no clutch all the way home. And dropped the transmission. and I found that the pilot bearing was trash, like in multiple pieces, and BBs were with it, were there falling out and stuff. So I bought a Master Pro bearing because, again, I just want to throw everything I work for away. Slip it in the flywheel, and it just slipped in. Like you could probably blow on it and it'll fall out. And I knew that's not good because obviously the input shaft has to go in it. But if it just has any resistance, it might push it out. And anyways, so then it's riding between the flywheel and crank. Could happen, right? I replaced it and I put it back together, and then it shifts. Before it wouldn't shift at all, and then it shifts, and I'm like, cool, it's fixed. And then I go and drive it, and then it's not shifting again. And then I'm frustrated, and because I just dropped the transmission twice, right? Because of the freaking axle. And so I just drive it around for 2 weeks. I'm like, no, that's fine. I drive it shifting without the clutch at the stops, turn the car off at first. I even go to a car meet, which that was hard because I'm like, oh, fuck, everybody's backed in, right? It's a car meet, and it's a parking garage, and I'm like, oh man, I cannot be the only one to park not backed in. It's just not cool. Anyway, I made it work. No one noticed. I backed in, and it was fine. And actually, this freaking Honda Civic got the most love out of all the cars there that I could tell. There was constantly gathering of people, and I would go show it off for a little bit, and then go and try to check out some other cars, and then there'd be more people just checking the car out. Even I wasn't there, the hood was down still, and the interior was in bits and pieces. So I took it home again, and I got frustrated. I was just ready. I dropped the transmission again, and I was trying to think of the function of an input shaft bearing, and trying to overcomplicate it, I guess. Which I did learn that, I learned a little bit about how it's all supposed to work. But I was thinking that maybe my input shaft bearing had slipped out of the flywheel since it was loose. And then I'm like, really? Is the input shaft flopping around that much to where the gear sets aren't lining up every single time, always now? And some people were like, yeah. But my input shaft bearing was still good. Because you have there's a bearing on the end of your main shaft, and then there's a bearing, your input shaft. Sorry, your input shaft bearing. One in the middle, and then there's the pilot bearing. So you have 3 bearings holding the shaft in a line. So if this bearing is gone, then there's more room for things to walk around. Anyway, so I took the transmission off, and the bearing was still there and stuff. It was probably supporting the input shaft. Who really knows? And then I took the clutch off and noticed there was one BB rolling around in the pressure plate, or maybe it was stuck in place, I don't know. But there's one BB from the previous input shaft that was stopping the fingers of the pressure plate from doing their job. One freaking BB. So I got the BB out. And by the way, the clutch, so many hot spots. It's a comp clutch, twin disc, right? But I think I just sent it way too hard. Didn't really break it in. That's fine, but the life has definitely been shortened. There's hot spots on all surfaces possible. It's pretty saddening, but it's okay. So, put the transmission back on. Finally, I could shift. Yeah, I could shift. Oh yeah, I was trying to count. Was that 4 times? No. And then I'm driving it, smashing hard, and then all of a sudden, I'm pulling into my driveway, and it sounds kind of clunkety, funkety, weird. And I'm like, it's fine. And the next day I go to drive it, and the shifter's really weird and won't really shift. Ugh. So take the transmission off again. That right then, within 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm not gonna go another day not understanding why. Took transmission off, opened it up quick, which I've never done that myself. The 2 times, 2 training drops ago before or whatever, was my friend. My friend was helping me. He gave me he did it mostly, but so he instilled confidence this time around when I opened the tranny and found he came over and helped me, but I could have done it myself. He opened the tranny, fourth gear on, I don't know, main shaft, counter shaft, there was like 4 teeth just gone, well, within the transmission. And so there was that. I called a friend up in Spokane, Washington, who had some mild transmission parts from an ITR transmission. And apparently the fourth gear is unique to the GSR unless you have a 98 plus JDM ITR fourth gear set, which I had parts of. And so friend sent them down to me, and I put them on, and I cleaned up, the whole case and everything, and Honda Bonnet and closed it, and it's the first time I've done that, but a lot of confidence gained with the tranny stuff, because I put it on, and it worked, and I've been shifting ever since. Every time, every shift, every try. Then, pretty soon my boost was not happening. No boost. Like, no boost. And then I'm like, oh, tile or tail, however you want to say it. What? Blah, 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 blah. I figured it out after like a week. I'll show you. This. Alright, I'm gonna flip it. Put these, I probably showed you, I put these fancy dancy little brackets on there. I welded them on for the vacuum hose. So for tucked cleanness, right? There's that one, you can see it doing its job right now. And there's another one right down here. And then I put another one right here without knowing how close it was going to be. The line I had running through here, which was then getting pinched by this hose. And it's weird that it only happened after like 1,000 miles or something. But it was pinching that hose and creating no vacuum here, and it was staying open because it also didn't have boost. This hose gets boost from the intake and keeps this closed upon boosties. But when there's boosties and only vacuum or whatever, when there's no boost, coming to this hose and boost in here, then it blows this open, and this does not push it shut, right? So anyways, there's that. I just unplugged it and drove without a blow-off valve for 50 miles maybe, because I wanted the boost so bad. And during troubleshooting, like Travis, tuner friend Travis, we like turned up the boost and all this and that. I can't remember, but like it didn't work. But in the end, once I got it working, like, excuse me, I unplugged my boost controller for a little bit because I knew it was working, and like we had turned it up in the computer, and I didn't have to turn my computer on and turn down the boost. Anyways, for a minute I plugged in the boost controller with it, like Moontune. It was Moontune, like 80% duty cycle or something on the thing, and I just, I cannot believe these tires are lasting this long, really. Like, I've been just sending it constantly, and it just keeps, that's why it keeps breaking, I guess, and keeps making me give it love. So it also, all right, so there's all that stuff. That's like a pretty heavy rundown. That's why it was a million words. Pretty heavy rundown of what's been going on with car and me and nobody. I have not found, like, I found one race, which was like maybe a I don't know, like a 87 Porsche 911 or something, sounded awesome, and it was trying to pass me all of a sudden, and I won. But nobody wants to race, and I do live in Mexico, so I raced Travis, and he was like, not double clutching like he should, and so he lost. One for one, Travis. I'm for you. His car, he's been having a lot of issues with oil pressure and VTEC and this and that and stuff, and he's about to go K. He says that K is the way. More words. I think that my power steering rack, or my manual steering rack from O'Reilly's, is giving me issues. Like, this is the second one. The first one was making noises too. Listen. I'm thinking about just taking that bitch out, demanding a refund instead of a replacement and buying an OEM rack for like maybe $350. At least they still sell them. Drives me nuts. There's a lot of things I want to do, like learning about roll center, which they have these extended ball joints, which is supposed to help. I'm still trying to kind of understand exactly the logic and everything. But tie rod, I do understand tie rods. Like, you know, imagine your tie rods connect to your shit straight flat, and then you lower your car. Your steering knuckle goes up, right? And the tie rod starting location, I don't know what you want to call it, mounting location, stays in the same place on the inside, but on the outside it goes up. So now your your tie rod is like angled up instead of being flat. It's angled up. Now when it's angled up and you hit a bump, which makes your wheel travel up more, it travels up, which pushes my brain does not want to work right now, in or out on the back of the tire, and it pulls it in, pulls the back of the tire in, because that's where the tie rod is mounted, right? And it tows this out. Woo! When you hit a bump, right? If your steering angle or your is up, so like the straighter it is, the more room you have to either hit a bump or get air and not be towed in or out during that time. So anyways, if you have a straight on tie rod, it makes things more predictable. And don't mind this, like I'm temporarily mounted here because of all the issues I got going on in my life, that fender and that headlight and all that. There are tie rods that mount on the underside of the knuckle to straighten it out. And I'm getting tired just talking so much. I hope you guys got an attention span, because I'm just talking hard. I'm gonna get those tie rods. But the most important, oh wait, let me tell you something else. I won't tell you that yet. This bad bitch right here left me on the side of the road. Actually, I was able to coast into a Napa because the battery was dying, and they had solutions there, but coronavirus, so can't just go in and be like, hey, jump me. Anyways, the battery died. Like, I'm like, oh, alternator or what? The battery light was not coming on ever, and I have made a lot of changes in the electrical system. But my battery light does come on when you're turning the key, right, for testing. Anyways, it was weird because I like the car turned off, and then I just waited a while and tried to start it, and it started. And it seems like it's intermittently charging. I got it home, and then like a few days later I drove to work, and it left me on the side of the road again, which was kind of fun. Like, I jogged to work, I got another car and all this stuff. So right here, I don't even know if it's the issue. I'm just throwing parts at this because I was wanting another spare engine. Alternator for my spare engine, which I'll tell you about this engine, some cool stuff. So I bought this alternator, which is a high amp alternator. I guess stock is around 75, and this one's 130. Maybe I should open it. And also, you know, my battery is in the trunk, so that makes it harder for my alternator to do its job. As you know, it has to send DC voltage, drop, you know, this and that. So got this higher amp alternator. Oh, there's no blade. The wiring is like maybe I should probably use a 2 gauge for this situation, especially. I should use 2 gauge wire, but I think 4 gauge would be okay. 130 amp alternator. Hopefully we'll fix it. I mean, it might not even be the issue. It could be something else causing my intermittent charge situation, but I will fix that. Okay, the biggest news of all. Biggest freaking news. Game changer. I decided I'm gonna go all-wheel drive. A lot of people say stuff, right? But I don't say stuff unless I'm gonna do it, because my word is important to me. So I sourced Wagavan parts. We got a lot of power here and stuff, right? I mean, I'm sure I'd get away with CRV stuff and element stuff, whatever, all that other. But apparently the Wagavan parts, and I'm new to all-wheel drive stuff, but apparently the Wagavan parts are like the place to be. Wagavan rear diffs. You can put LSDs in, but the element and the CRV rear diffs can't accept LSD, right? And you gotta have LSD. So there's that and stuff. I got really lucky. I'm trading that B16, which I rebuilt that B16 for this car, just to have it be a legit clone for some time, and then I did this thing. I wanted to keep it as a spare engine, but I'm gonna trade that engine for the Wagavan stiff driveline. This is coupler, and I'm gonna buy Hub City Performance stuff, the diff mount thing, the rear trailing arms, and what stuff, and then I just have to figure out all the little stuff, I'm gonna need a fuel cell and probably change my fuel lines to reach the new fuel cell wherever it is, and things that I don't know yet. So hopefully within the next 2 months. My exhaust sucks. I just had the exhaust work done, but I'm gonna have to change it up. Hopefully within the next 2 months, maybe 3 months, it will be all-wheel drive. It's gonna be crazy. Right now, it makes more power than, these tires. These are just Nittos, but it just spins, right? It's really fast though, really fast. I might put up a bunch of videos that I've recorded so far. Never recorded them with the idea to post them, so they're not good footage. But anyways, here's that new alternator. B series OBD 230 amps, I guess. I'm hoping I can get away with, without removing the axle or the intake manifold or strut bar. Hopefully it's not too hard. I don't know if I can do it. Alright, I'm tired. I never thought I'd be tired from just talking. Are you guys tired from listening? I'm gonna install this alternator. I don't know what the next video is gonna be. Probably all the drive parts. Okay, bye.